Straight Red Car. Today we have, just a lot of little tidbits of news that Brett and I are going to take on, but we're going to start, Brett, with the whole Sebastian LeToux. First of all, of course, the trial with Bolton didn't work out for him, and then he comes back home, and, of course, Philadelphia, knowing, they're going to eventually lose him, and, he's taking up $155,000 worth of space. They figure they just make some money, and off he goes to Vancouver, and the response so far has been sort of mixed from the Philly fans. Some of them are like, this is the heart and soul of our team, and others understand why Philly's doing it. But you read some things about what Peter Novak was thinking when he made this move.
Well, for one, $155K for the amount of production that LeToux brings to the team is amazing. Looking at that aspect, it's kind of a sucky deal.
Yeah.
However, Novak did state that he wanted to. It's his last year on his contract. He wanted to get something from him, so he wanted to trade him while the price is high, and then reinvest it in the future. They had gone out and they purchased the full rights of Roger Torres. They planned to buffen up the deal for Shannon Williams, apparently.
Yeah.
And all the talk about Philly shopping Mwanga is plain false, apparently.
Yeah.
So my thing about this is that you're looking at the squad. Philly's got an unbelievably young squad. Like, the only other veteran players that are like above 26 are Carroll and Caliph.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't have a single striker in their entire pool, and this is including the recent draft picks. That they don't have a single striker over the age of 23. Their top two most experienced strikers in Mwanga and McInerney are 19 and 20.
Yeah.
They are going to be a very young team, and they are going, as Novak is saying, they're planning for the future. Well, they're starting at a really young age. It's almost as if they're almost an expansion team with a little bit of experience here.
Yeah, that comment bugs me just a little if I'm a Philadelphia fan, because what it's saying is, I mean, Mondragon was a great goalie. LeToux was your kind of lead guy, and this whole comment, whenever I hear a team say, well, we're planning for the future, how many times have you heard that from places like Toronto and other teams that have eternally sucked and continue to suck? Because, if you're if you're planning for the future with a bunch of young kids, the chances that a big percentage of those kids aren't going to really work out are high. And that's why you have guys like LeToux and Mondragon on your team, because they're the solid, they're the foundation. You can build around that. So don't give me this planning for the future crap. That just sounds like politics to me.
Well, I mean, even if you look at the young players on the team, you look at Mwanga, you look at McInerney, you look at Torres, McMath. I mean, these are players that have, even Williams, these are players who have experience, at least from the last season. They've got a significant number of starts under their belts for one season at least. I mean, it's not. I mean, they're still unbelievably inexperienced, and they may not pan out. But I mean, it is a team that's unbelievably young and inexperienced. But they need to have that veteran stability to an extent.
Yeah.
Even if it's a handful of players, like I said before, and they really only have two players who are seasoned vets on the team. And I think losing LeToux is gonna hurt.
What about Mondragon?
They'll find the goals eventually, but I still think it's going to hurt a bit.
Well, what about, I mean, you said it yourself. It may not pan out, and you're always taking that risk when you're planning for the future by playing an extremely young team, and you're going to be losing a guy like Mondragon as well, who was really, in a lot of people's eyes, one of the best goalkeepers in the league last year.
True enough. In all honesty, I think McMath had in his handful of however many games he had last season, I thought he did fine. Mm-hmm. He's proving himself well enough with the U23s. I think Novak just has a lot of faith in some of these young faces.
Well, he better.
It's the only thing he can go off of right now,
because they're going to.
Turns out the backfire could really prove ill for him. So.
I think it is. I mean, I'm saying it here, and we can go back later, and people can pummel me. But this is a mistake in my book.
And the problem with playing a bunch of young kids is they may be talented, but they're prone to mistakes. They're not experienced. Mm-hmm. They're not seasoned. I mean, it's just how it works.
And there are a lot of teams that are getting as far as experience-wise goes, they're getting better and better and better and better, and they're getting more players who have a lot of experience, even from overseas. And my only question is, if you're LeToux going to Vancouver, wow, how many strikers does Vancouver need? I mean,
so they could probably field an entire team of strikers the way they're going.
They're going to play like a 4-1-5, you know?
Well, they're not even done. I've read elsewhere that they're looking for other options.
Yeah, well,
they're showing interest in a couple other options. I'm like, you've already got like 6 or 7 strikers.
Yeah.
You know, some of those of which that could start for other teams.
Yeah, well, you could always play LeToux out wide as well, I guess.
You could.
All right, and then the other big news of the week, and our friend Dan Loney had a great article on it, and there are a number of different pieces on the Women's Professional Soccer League going poo-poo and fizzling out and saying goodbye, at least they say, temporarily, and all because, they say, they have to deal with Mr. Borislow, who is the Magic-Jackass owner. I think Taylor Twellman had a tweet on this, and he said, you know, they should have known this guy was an asshole from the start, because, you know, if they did their homework, they would have known that, and they wouldn't have messed with this guy to begin with. A lot of people, I guess, behind the scenes knew this guy was a total, you know, ass fart from the get-go, and there were, you know, hints of this right when he first took over the team. If you kind of read the history, the back and forth between the league and him, and how abusive he was on the phone to league officials, and he threatened a lawsuit every week. Every week, this guy. Is WPS, are they going to come back? Is this it?
I don't think they're going to come back. In all honesty, they may come back. A women's league might return in the future, like years down the road, similar to what happened with the WPS. Problem is, what's going to happen now is they're going to put their seasons on hold until they can get these legal issues resolved, and all their top players, all their quality players, are going to go abroad.
Yep.
They're going to go to more stable leagues
in
England, Sweden, Germany. I mean, these are all options that most likely are aching to buy these players, just to pick up these players. And now that they're no longer even in a league, they're pretty much pickable, wide open.
And you said it's stability. If you're an American woman, a player, and you've had to go through the ups and downs and all the shenanigans of playing for a women's professional soccer league here in the United States, it just may sound like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in Europe at this point, because guess what? All the teams in Europe, almost all of them, are connected to the club teams, i.e. in England, you know, the club teams, the men's club teams are connected to the women's. They're all part of the same club. So let's say the women's league has a little problem. Well, they're all connected to the women's teams, to the men's teams, and to the same club. There's stability there. Mm-hmm. And the fact that WPS, for whatever reason, and MLS have not gotten together to work out something similar, really kind of spelled doom from day one, didn't it?
Pretty much.
I mean, if you really want stability, that's where you have to go, because, yeah, you're right. They're going to go over there, and if this ever comes back together again, I think you mentioned before, I don't know how they're going to build it, because who wants to take the risk and come back to the United States again to build what could be a league that lasts for 1 or 2 years?
Yep.
I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
All right, so short point here. You heard some rumors about the friendly with Scotland in May. What'd you hear?
Well, again, this is just something that's been posted. It could be an actual rumor, or it could just be something that somebody said to somebody, you know. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Scotland May friendly rumor could be in Jacksonville on May 27th. Other options would have been Chicago or New York. Those are the other options, keeping it on the East Coast, because apparently Scotland is going to have a friendly with Mexico on the 29th in Orlando. Mm-hmm. Again, this is something I've read on Big Soccer, so take it for what you want.
And to the guy who continuously posted on our SPL versus MLS, I think it was on YouTube, saying the MLS sucked and the SPL was way better, and that, you know, the Scottish national team would never bother to even play the United States, because what does that get them? They get more out of playing better teams. Apparently, the U.S. team sucks because, according to him, if it's not Scottish, it's crap. So I hope he can. I hope we crush them, and then we can all rub it in his face a little. Of course, there's no guarantee there.
Yeah, even if we do play him and crush him, they'll just throw out the generic reason like, oh, it's a friendly. We didn't have all of our key players.
Our best players were injured. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not going to make a difference one way or the other. He's going to be set in his ways.
MLS is crap. All right. Speaking of Scottish guys, Kris Boyd was signed by the Timbers. That's big news for Portland because, well, if you still believe in Kris Boyd and what he did back in 2010 and parts of 2011 with Middlesbrough, where he scored 8 goals in 27 games, and you still believe that what he did for 4 seasons with Rangers, scoring 101 goals, if you still believe in that, then this is a pretty good signing. But then again, Brett, he did get loaned out to Nottingham Forest, where he did okay, but that's not exactly top-flight competition. Then he went over to Turkey, and he played a whole 2 games, and now he's coming to Portland. I don't know, if you're getting shuffled around like that after playing with the big boys, with Rangers, and then you're kind of shuffled around to lower-level teams after that. I don't know. I mean, it kind of maybe... Is he worth a DP? I don't know. Or is he more kind of a Luke Rogers? I mean, listen, Luke Rogers came over here. He did very well, and he played a couple, levels down from the Premier League. So maybe this guy is just going to be fine, or maybe this is too much money spent on right now on a quantity who has not proven himself lately. And it is all about what have you done for me lately, right?
Yeah, and this is the Timbers' second designated player. Remember, they signed the 19-year-old Colombian striker also earlier, actually, I think late last year. I mean, he's 28 years old. He obviously has a nose for the goal. At least he did when he was playing in the SPL.
Yep.
Whether or not he's going to pan out here, I think, in my opinion, I think MLS is better than SPL, and we just talked about a guy who thinks otherwise.
Right.
So. I think even though I think there are a lot of similarities between the 2 leagues. I mean, even though we are improving technically, I think we are still a very physically demanding league. You see it in a lot of hard tackles, a lot of clumsy tackles. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, I think it's going to be questionable overall. I mean, you can say he's going to come here and he's going to do great, but then again, he might come over here and stink it up. And you can say that about any player, but if you're paying designated player money to somebody, you kind of want to hope that he's going to come here and excel.
Right.
I think. Well, what's the expectations for him?
Yeah.
10 goals plus for the season. I mean, would the Timbers be happy with that, or would they be expecting an Henry production rate at 16 goals for the season? Mm-hmm. In all honesty, if he hits 10 goals, I mean, congratulations. I think that was pretty well done. Although I think the money that they're spending on those 10 goals might not be worth it. Because obviously players underneath that pay rate can still do that. I mean, hell, Aduro had 12 goals. I think he may get a small fraction of that money. So,
yeah.
But the goals will come regardless.
Aduro's goals weren't as good because they weren't Scottish. And if they're not Scottish, then they're crap.
We just lost a subscriber on YouTube, just so you know.
I didn't know he was a subscriber,
but
he
might not be.
He may be. I don't know. All right. Speaking of, hey, by the way, during that comment, did you open a Snapple? I thought I heard a Snapple open there.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Maybe you were popping something else open. All right. We won't go there.